What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the crypto catch up. Now, look, the crypto market's looking a little bit red currently. So, what I wanted to do is just dive in a bit and explain to you exactly what I think is going on, why I don't think it's that big of a deal, but it is important to pay attention to. And so, with that said, let's not waste any more time at all and let's get straight into it. Now, looking at the market overall, I mean, we can look at TradingView and just get a feel for this. Things are looking ugly. 2 to 3% on most of our top 10, top 15s, 7 to 8% on many of our meme coins. Heading into CoinMarketCap, we can see that on the last 24 hours, a lot of those gains that we did see earlier this morning have been eaten up, right? We can see Bitcoin 2.2% loss over the last 24 hours, Solana at 3% loss, Dogecoin at 2.8% loss. Overall, not the best day so far. Kind of jumping outside of the top 10, we can go over to crypto bubbles and look at the daily chart. And what we can see is, I mean, it is majoritively red. A lot of these just this morning we're seeing green, but now we're seeing ETH and BSV and Phantom and many more starting to turn to, towards the worst a little bit. Now, overall, this isn't particularly surprising. And that's kind of the overall goal of today's video, is just to show you that what we're seeing right now isn't all that shocking. And the reason being is because we are still trapped within major resistance from Bitcoin. Now, without getting too deep into the technicals, what I do want you to understand is that where Bitcoin is at this exact moment is it's in a spot in which it is still trying its best to break out of a descending wedge. Clearly, what we can see is since March of 2024, we have consistently been putting in lower highs and lower lows, creating this descending wedge. And realistically, until the moment that Bitcoin's capable of breaking out of this wedge, we are going to continue to see moments like this. Over the last few weeks, Bitcoin has been venturing back up towards the top side of this wedge, finally running into some resistance at the top side around 2 or 3 days ago. And realistically, what I want you guys to understand is that in moments like these, there is a ton of sell pressure and facing us. We have the resistance from the wedge itself. We have 618 to 786 resistance. We have liquidity-based resistance in the sense that there are bears who are stepping in consistently in this area. And because of that, it's not just going to be a cakewalk. As Bitcoin continuously approaches the top side of this wedge, we will see these moments in which it will struggle to clear it. It's going to get pushed back down to the downside because of it. And that's just what's going to happen. And what you need to understand on top of that is that Bitcoin is still in control of the market. Going over to altcoin season index, we can see that we're still in Bitcoin season, right? Currently sitting at a 16. That shows that not only are we within Bitcoin season, but we're getting deep within Bitcoin season. And generally that means that Bitcoin is in control of the market and the majority of your liquidity is flowing into Bitcoin in comparison to obviously your altcoins, meme coins, etc. And so considering the fact that Bitcoin is still in right now, like it's in effect and it's really doing a lot of the moving and determining of what happens. Again, Bitcoin running into resistance is going to cause the rest of this market to pull back. Now, overall, how long does this last? It's really hard to tell. What I can say is that it is giving this, like this wedge that we're seeing right now and the formation we're seeing in this wedge is very similar to what we've seen in the last two, points in which we saw Bitcoin fall. The last time we saw Bitcoin hit this resistance and pull back, it was a 23% pullback. The one before that, 24%. So realistically, I mean, this could easily be another one of those situations in which Bitcoin's price does start to pull back, possibly to the 60,000 range, maybe even lower. One of the key things that I do like to pay attention to is what we are seeing on our daily RSI. And what you can see is that as Bitcoin historically puts in this bearish divergence, which looks like a high, then a higher high, at the same time that your RSI is putting in a high and a lower high, like we saw right here. And one more example right here, high, micro higher high, high, lower high. Then, of course, right here, high, higher high, high, lower high. Historically, Bitcoin's price has pulled back, especially within this wedge. And so what I would go ahead and say is that being that and understanding that Bitcoin is still in control of the market, it is the leading narrative at this given point, that we could be in a situation where this market does continue to pull back. There obviously are no guarantees. There are a ton of catalysts and a lot of things happening in the market right now that could shift this thing around. And next thing you know, we're seeing Bitcoin clearing $70,000, $75,000. But that's not the case right now. The case right now is that we have bearish divergence. Bitcoin is bouncing off of a key point of resistance, and it easily could continue back lower towards 61,000, towards $60,000. And it's something you just need to be prepared for. And so the grand scheme of what I am saying right now is that the market is pulling back because Bitcoin is running into macro resistance. Until Bitcoin's price is capable of breaking this macro resistance, we will continue to see pullbacks like this, and you just need to be okay with it. Personally, what I'm doing is I am dollar cost averaging into these dips because I do believe Bitcoin eventually will break that wedge. Historically speaking, there's an 83 to 87.5% chance that a crypto at the top of a macro run that enters into a descending wedge will break to the upside. And so because of that, knowing 8 out of 10 times, maybe a little even higher than that, we will break to the upside here, I think it's decent chances to be dollar cost averaging into these dips, but obviously you just don't know how low it can go. So you need to make sure that you have that macro mindset and you're okay with this thing pulling back a little bit prior to that eventual bounce to the upside. And so because of that, of course, as you guys know, I just recently created this channel. And what I'd like to do is just to bring you these macro updates as often as possible, talking about what's going on in the market, talking about news, talking about the altcoin market, talking about the meme coin market, and much more. So if you are new here and if you do enjoy this new style and this new channel, make sure that you do let me know, not only by smashing the like button, but subscribing to the channel if you are new. But overall, I can't wait to see you all very soon in the next one. Peace out, everybody.